From Farmers Branch City Hall, this is Council Recap here on FBTV. Hello again, everyone. I'm Jeff Brady, and we're reviewing the latest City Council meeting held Tuesday, April 19th here at City Hall, the year of 2022. And we're bringing you a concise summary of the agenda and the events from that meeting. And during the next few minutes, hopefully, we'll provide a little more context to let you know exactly what happened. Although not typically included in the recap of the meeting, there were some important items that were discussed during the study session, which we want to mention, including an update on current and upcoming parks projects. Parks Director Mike Mashburn briefly touched on this with us.
Yeah, so there was 12 high-value items that City Council had determined that they wanted to see at some point moving forward. And so we talked about all those, what those could be, various funding sources, ranging from parks to facilities to median enhancements. Some are funded through grants, some are funded through American Rescue Plan dollars, and some would have to come from another funding source. Mm-hmm. So that's what we were there to determine tonight. Fantastic projects, finishing the rec center renovation, a huge indoor-outdoor renovation for the Branch Connection, as well as significant overhaul to Squire Park, Farmers Branch Park, and a few other smaller projects mixed in. Mm-hmm. There are some that have American Rescue Plan dollars associated and some that have grant dollars. So if I ventured to guess, since there is a timeline on when those have to be spent, I would think that those bubble to the surface.
And another topic in study session concerned updating the security requirements for Farmers Branch apartment complexes. And Leo Bonanno, our Deputy Director of Neighborhood Services, explained these proposed changes with us.
The gist of it was creating new apartment security requirements for the approximately 30 plus complexes in Farmers Branch. There will be security camera requirements and access device requirements like gates. Requirements will vary depending on the nature of the complex. Bigger complexes might require more cameras. Complexes without parking garages will not need gates for parking garages. So each complex will have its own unique security requirements, but the broad scope of the requirements is all covered in this ordinance. The next step is to take the feedback that I received from Council today and finalize a final draft for the ordinance to, for the Council to review at an actual Council meeting. And the public will be allowed to comment on that, apartment managers and complex managers included, and then the council will decide if it fits the city's needs.
And moving on, here are the consent and regular agenda items that were discussed during that City Council meeting. Agenda item H1 was to approve the meeting minutes for the April 5th regular City Council meeting. Agenda item H2 was to consider authorizing the city manager to approve the purchase of a generator for the Branch Connection in the total amount of $166,713 from Lofton Equipment Company. Agenda item H3 was to consider authorizing the city manager to enter an agreement with iChooser LLC to establish a residential solar group purchasing program. Agenda item H4 was to consider amending Appendix C maps of Chapter 94 Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance of the Farmers Branch Code of Ordinances as it relates to the map depicting beer and wine sales overlay districts and alcohol beverage on-premise overlay districts. And City Council approved all of these consent items unanimously. Regular agenda item I1 was to receive an update from our Youth Advisory Council, we call it the YAC, and to consider continuing the Youth Advisory Council for the year to come. Council voted unanimously to continue our Youth Advisory Council. Agenda item I2 was to receive an update from the MetroCrest Chamber of Commerce. Agenda item I3 was to receive an update from the Farmers Branch Chamber of Commerce. Agenda item I4 was to receive a presentation on the city's second quarter financials. And agenda item I5 was to approve the project and financing plan for tax increment financing, or TIF, reinvestment zone number 4. Agenda item I6 was to approve a resolution relating to the giving of notice of intention to issue City of Farmers Branch, Texas combination tax and revenue Certificates of Obligation, or COs, Series 2022, for the purpose of paying contractual obligations to be incurred related to the construction of a public recreational, multi-sport, and fitness facility in an amount not to exceed $25 million, and declaring intent to reimburse certain prior capital costs. Now that's a lot, but after discussion, City Council approved this measure while also making the stipulation that staff is allowed 9 weeks to make various presentations to the community, to residents and taxpayers, underlining the fact that there will be no tax increase for taxpayers, for residents of Farmers Branch, to issue these certificates of obligation. And joining us now to explain a little bit more about the COs and this new facility is John Land, our Deputy City Manager.
Yes,
so
sir.
John, thanks for coming up to the studio today. It's great to have you up here. We appreciate your background. You provide us the context on important issues.
That few can.
That few can, that's right. So first of all, what is this multi-sport facility?
So the Dallas Stars have had a long track record in youth sports with hockey. And they have decided that they're going to go all in on youth sports, and they're looking for locations to build multi-sport facilities, primarily driven by girls volleyball, but also opportunities for basketball, maybe pickleball, maybe badminton, maybe indoor soccer. Their formula is finding property adjacent to where they already have a star center, like Farmers Branch, where they can have a single general manager between the two facilities. They have some shared parking opportunities there, so there's some economies of scale. So as they decided to get into this business, they started reaching out to communities where they already had a presence. Obviously, Farmers Branch is one. We've been working probably for 2 to 3 years trying to make something work here that made sense for us both. We know there's another community that's taking action as we speak for a facility north of us. And we felt like for the center of the Metroplex, we really wanted to be that location.
Sure, so this was kind of the Stars idea, but it's on our land.
Correct.
And it'll be the city will own the facility.
Yeah, this is going to be almost an identical model to what we did for the Star Center hockey rink, where the city paid for the construction. The lease from the Stars paid for all the debt service. So while the city issued debt to construct the facility, there was no burden to the taxpayer. 100% of that's been paid for by the Stars. We're in year 21 of that lease. They've never missed a payment. There's been reinvestment in the facility, and it's a win-win for us both. We really like that model, and going forward, we're structuring a lease identically to what we've done in the past, where their lease pays for all the debt service. It's a 25-year lease, 25-year commitment. They put 1 year of lease up front. Should something change, we'll have a year's worth of lease payments. We're already in that business. With recreation, we feel confident in talking with our Parks and Rec team that should something happen and the Stars have to bail out after 5 years, we could make that facility sing.
Okay, and I guess we've kind of gone public with it now, so there's some artist renderings that we were able to show at a recent City Council meeting.
So we have been meeting in an executive session with Council, just talking about the concept and then talking about the physical project. How would it look? How would it face? What would the size be? And we got thumbs up around the table that everybody felt comfortable with it. We had Farmers Branch night out. We had storyboards that kind of socialized the concept of this. We'll be back out for Fish and Fun, and there'll be other opportunities. I think, Jeff, you're going to have that in the upcoming newsletter.
That's right.
But last night what we did is we went forward with a notice of intent to issue debt. So that's not a binding agreement. It's just a notice of intent. There's a 45-day period. It's advertised 2 different times between now and then Council will come back on June 21st to consider action. And in the meantime, we're going to continue to get input from our citizens. The benefit to the citizens is this is a huge traffic driver. We're already involved with local sports leagues, and girls volleyball is the one that really fills the hotels up. We'll see somewhere in the neighborhood of 400,000 folks walk in and out of that building over the course of a year. Certainly helps with the restaurant park. We're also, as part of the master plan for the station area, would love to have a hotel we were close to having that pre-pandemic, and we think having something that drives that level of traffic would certainly help check that box.
Help that argument, sure.
Yeah.
And it's important to note that citizens, just regular Farmers Branch citizens, would also have access to that facility.
So, right now at the Recreation Center, we have limited space for basketball and volleyball.
And it's pretty full already.
And it's full, and this would expand the footprint there, so we would be able to have some time at the new multi-sport complex for basketball, volleyball. There would also be classes taught, leagues, and so forth. Those would be priced similarly to what you would find at our Recreation Center.
Okay, so the model is already there.
Correct.
It's not have to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
It's already been done. So what's next? What's the next phase? There'll be, you said, a 45-day information period so that citizens can find out more.
Correct.
If they want to.
Yep, and then, our bond counsel is going to go out and see interest rates and so forth. We need to make sure that both sides of the equation can afford it. If we find out, hey, this is going to be more than we thought, we have an estimate of probable costs, and we'd kind of really like to see the contractor sharpen that pencil just a little bit, because it's a large number.
Sure.
At this point, we're looking at issuing $25 million. Preferably, that'd be closer to 2022. And with the Stars having to foot that bill, I think they're motivated to work with their contractor on trying to scope that back in. A lot of the estimates were kind of high because we don't want to be wrong low.
Right, and have to pay more.
Correct.
So this next step is the information period, 45 days, and then the groundbreaking would possibly be as soon as when?
So kind of the timetable is this. We're looking at, pending community support, the ongoing interest amongst the Stars, moving forward June 21st with the issuance of debt. Bonds would be sold, and then the commencement of the construction would be late summer, maybe September.
Okay.
And then the goal is to have this open by August of 2023.
Next year.
It's a reasonably open facility. It's 90,000 square feet. There's 16 volleyball courts in it, and lockers and restrooms.
Yeah.
But it's a fairly simple. You're not building you're not building a lot of offices or anything that's terribly complex. So the hope is that we can have this open by August of 2023. The contractor indicates, barring some major weather event, it's a 9-month construction.
Okay, great. Well, something to look forward to.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, Deputy City Manager John Land, thank you as always for shedding some light on this subject.
Absolutely.
Appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Agenda item I-7 was to consider authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with Gomez Floor Covering to perform the restroom renovations at the Recreation Center through the by-board cooperative purchasing contract in the amount of $308,652. And agenda item I-8 was to consider amending Chapter 2 Administration, Article 3 Code of Ethics by amending Section 2-278 to add definitions and add Section 2-280 additional standards to add subsections H and I regarding false statements. The Council voted unanimously to approve regular agenda items requiring action, with the exception of item I-8, which was approved by a vote of 4-1. And that'll do it for this Council recap. As a reminder, every regular meeting of our Farmers Branch City Council can be seen live as it happens here on FBTV, and that is Spectrum Channel 16, and Farmers Branch AT&T UVerse Channel 99 throughout the entire Metroplex, or online at farmersbranchtx.gov. This meeting was also streamed live on Vimeo and YouTube. And this particular program, Council Recap, will be made available every day at 10 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. here on FBTV. The full City Council meeting will also be available for viewing 7 days a week at 6 p.m. In the meantime, the next regular meeting of our City Council will be held May 3rd, 2022, starting at 6 p.m. here at Farmers Branch City Hall. Please note that all of our meetings are subject to change, so be sure to check your city's website for updates or call us at City Hall at 972-247-3131 for more information. Until then, I'm Jeff Brady, and you are watching continuing coverage of the Farmers Branch City Council and all things related to the city here on FBTV. Please stay with us.